Hi, good day, guys, and welcome to the 2025 Mythic for Free Fire. My name is Iro, and I'm joined by DK. And DK, good to see you once again here with ACGL.
Yeah, very excited to be here today. Looking forward to seeing what is going to be happening as we are going to be heading into a little bit of that free fire, as you've mentioned. This, of course, is the grand final. So the teams are going to try and bring everything they can, everything they must, including my earpiece, to the battleground to see who's going to be the ones to step up to grab the most booyahs. And I think that's the part that I like the most about Free Fire, right? Is the fact that you can shout booyah at the end.
Of course, of course. I mean, look, 12 teams over the last 4 weeks of qualifiers have made it through to grand finals. And I mean, we got a hefty prize pool for today's event. It is a massive 30,000 Rand. And when we look at these 12 teams that come through over here, Talon pulled in through first, and they obviously just about 11 points ahead of everyone else on that 4-week qualifier. But we've seen, qualifiers and grand finals and how performance can differ big time when it comes to this over here, DK. Do you think we're going to see some consistency across the field?
I hope so. I mean, that's at the very least what I would expect to see, especially looking at the teams having worked through so many matches to get themselves to this point, right? So to make it into the grand finals, you have to have a certain level of skill, right? Because it's not open to just anybody to come strolling in and go like, well, I'll take that seat and have a shot at it, right? You have to work your way through the qualifiers to make it up to this point. So I think we're going to be in for quite a bit of a day here, as we're going to have quite a few teams, as we just saw all the names there, bashing it out, looking to see who can get the most points secured. Because after 6 matches, right, the team sitting with the most points on the board is going to be the one smiling the greatest, right? Having the widest smile, because of course they'll be walking away with that lion's share of the prize pool.
The lion's share indeed. 50% of that total 30,000 Rand is going to be awarded to first. That is 15,000 Rand that first place is getting. Second is getting 7,500. Third is walking away with 4,500. I mean, when we look at that fourth place, a hefty 3,000 Rand as well. I mean, obviously Mythic is powered by PC Builder in partnership with MSI, AMD, Patriot, Crucial, FSE, Game Pass, and Windows 11. Now, without those partnerships, this wouldn't have been possible. So massive thank you to PC Builder. Now, 30,000 Rand over there has been quite an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And
No, sorry, I was just admiring something interesting that I noticed, right? I have a strong suspicion that something pretty epic's going to happen today, because I don't know if you've noticed, but we actually color coordinated today, right? That is probably the first time ever since we've worked together that we've been, color coded, and we didn't even need a queue for that. But of course, speaking about queues, right? It is our cue to hop into the action, as we are going to be heading in to see exactly what our squads are going to get up to here.
Yeah, first game of the 6, so a busy evening for the contestants and as well as the viewers out there, guys. A big thank you for joining us across the different platforms that you guys are tuning into. I mean, if you guys have fan favorites, if you guys think any of these teams are going to be walking away with that first place position, start shouting them out now in the chat right over there, and we'll see exactly who you guys are rooting for. But overall, DK first game over here, and we got HT coming through with a good drop, and there is going to be some concession with DRG Hawk up in here, and it does look like good loadout coming out from him, but a knockdown is going to be at hand over here.
Well, let's see whether or not they are going to be able to close up factory here. A little bit of pressure, like the action that we've had so far already. As you can see, the player counts now going up and down, as the players will get recalled through. But now the difficult position here is, of course, right, you can look to capitalize on a bit of that recall, as now it's just down to Mazika looking for an angle here, trying to pick up those elims. They do instead get knocked right on down. And now it's going to be King looking to come through with a bit of a cleanup here, pushing straight on forward. Good trade. Off they go. Ooh, Eldar gets picked on up. And a very sweaty engagement right here in Factory.
Yeah, literally right here, Factory. 4 eliminations already in favor for HT. That's going to be good. If you keep spawning in at Factory, you're going to find yourself getting eliminated and just feeding up some kill points over to the team. We're down over at a bullseye, and we've got a CO uncontested over here. Just a bit of a lurker in the distance, but nothing too much to worry about for the team right now. And we've got some good loadout on Jazz, got to equip that sniper, and that's going to be quite nice for him over there overall. But still, decent amount of players remaining here in an off-spawn situation. It wasn't that contested at the different POIs that exist in the FreeFire, and as things stand right now, we're in that first zone with a bit of it going to be shrinking. And if you guys are new to the whole Battle Royale scenario, this is essentially shrinking to the last squad is going to be standing, and there's so much action right now displayed over here. We've got some cover placed down, but the Summer Lay is literally laying down some ammunition on to the opposition players and is picking up some couple knocks over there. And we're seeing, again, more eliminations in favor for the team. They're currently sitting at 3, and he is on the run to pick up Ragnar, and he does indeed with the help of the Fame Z. And they're going to pick up their 4th elimination right over here at Santosa, and that is looking quite nice.
Yeah, like the nice, like the spice. Let's see, can they do anything else to bring in a little bit of that heat? As we are going to be sitting right here on Union X. Interesting position that they have, though. I'm curious as to whether or not they are going to look to maybe push a little bit further in towards that zone itself. As you mentioned, right, we are going to be looking at that big circle closing up that is going to force the teams closer and closer together. But meanwhile, up in Factory, things seem to have quieted down quite a bit here, as we're not seeing any contention. Nobody really looking to bring too much pressure over onto the sides here for the time being. But this is the opportunity to look to get a bit of a different angle, rather. Try and set yourself up in a transitional, rotational pathway to try and pick up a few of the squads as they start rotating up in towards the zone.
Right now, things are pretty much coming down to a pause as players that were off spawn have been eliminated or found themselves in difficult situations. We only one squad down. We got 11 over here, 42 players across the board. So there has been some massive clutch reboots or players just respawning back into fighting contestants, and we'll see what that will look like. But for me, in the kill feed, we've seen HT once again picking up more eliminations, and that is going to be, where it's going to play a huge factor towards endgame. We got Roro right here, who's all alone, and it does look like the squad JT has found them, and good shots from distance, managing to pick that up. That's their 4th kill already as well. And I mean, there's still so much more action that needs to come through for this team right now.
Yeah, it was unfortunate for Roro to, get in their boat, right? Because they rowed their boat right down the stream. But unfortunately, that is going to be the end of the road for one, as we still have 11 squads left in this lobby. So let's see whether or not Senzo and the rest of the team here are going to be able to lock in a few more sprays. In the meanwhile, as we hop onto the edge, you can see the zone is going to start to close on through. Now comes the pressure plays here, right? Cosa Nostra going to be trying to lock it in on the edge. They do have a little bit of opposition here, trying to welcome them in as they start to rotate forward. But we've got 3 squads now contesting for the edge of zone. But this is going to be a tricky one, right? Because as that closure comes on through, they will start to take even more damage, and you don't really want to get caught in that, as you can see already. CN finding themselves in a bit of a situation here. It is a very, very tricky angle to try and push through, but so much pressure starting to mount. Now it's going to be Denric looking for an angle, trying to play on the roof, trying to play for a little bit of that elevation, trying to see if they can maybe find a bit of a sneaky angle to go through, but instead, on the opposite side, they are going to lose Sleazy to that fight. And now, again, looking at all the angles that could be held here, I'm not quite sure how they're going to get out.
It's very difficult. I mean, sometimes being over pressure or being too aggressive in Battle Royale can also cost you quite a bit. Gone and them are completely wiped out. Third party NG is coming involved over here as well. But HT and them are pretty much okay for now in the surroundings. But with the cover that Locusta does have over HT right now, could be quite difficult. But he is also soul warrior. No one around him to assist, and it does look 3-way man is coming in, and I don't know how you can 1v3 HT, as they are looking quite the team in game number 1 of Spawn right over here. And you can see them just picking up their double-digit elimination. That is 10 on the clock over there. And we're still in the first zone closing, and we're seeing such an aggressive play coming out from HT. And, you know, I was talking about being overconfident, but it plays to their favor. Move over to CL. They pick up their first 2 eliminations. It's looking quite good for them on their side of things. And they are in zone, so they need to just get back into, you know, safe haven and stop ticking away with some HP. A couple teams actually out in the danger and need to make some massive rotations through to the safe zone.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking over at Clown Esports, but they're going to have to step it up because, as we know, that zone is not clowning around at all. But there's still quite a bit of contention here, not only for them, but as you can see, Union X also now sitting with Summerlay, trying to rotate in the opposite direction instead of getting themselves closer and closer into the safe area. But in the meanwhile, we look at Nem coming through from that southern side, just making entry, as we did have that next shift coming through here. But AKT also still having quite a bit of an angle to go, right? Akatsuki, they could maybe find quite a bit of a surprise angle on several teams because we're not looking at too much contention coming on that southern side.
Yeah, no, it's not looking that hectic on the rotates. A lot of dead side rotations coming out from these teams right now as well. And Valor in a good position, Valor Esports, and you know, 1 elimination at hand. Not the biggest we've seen so far, DK right over here. And we will be seeing exactly what this means for endgame. Second zone finally in contention. BT Supreme literally holding on to himself to try bring his teammates back into this. And we've got some couple kills across the field. Everything is pretty much now coming to a halt as players start to rotate into the smaller zones that will be forming across the field right now. Blue walls placed, not necessarily needed, as there wasn't any attack on them or attention towards them. They pretty much cover in there. You can see Blue's taking a couple of shots, but nothing too major yet. Good position that they find themselves in until the zone, of course, closes in. And we are 9 squads in, 34 players, and there's been a lot of fire action across the game. And no, not relation to FreeFire, but just some good action from HT.
Yeah, let's see if they can do it now. It's going to be Akatsuki having to defend their position here, as it is going to be Valor knocking on the door, looking to see if they can gain some kind of entry here. But there's more and more teams now, as you can see, coming through in the surrounding area. So I like the pressure that is starting to build. It's going to be a pretty interesting play now between Akatsuki and, of course, the players there from Valor. Both teams kind of just holding their distance. Nobody looking to get engaged just yet. But we do have MG also now starting to encroach on that southern positioning. So they better be quick about it. And speaking of which, Valor, they're going for the quickest way into the zone as they just come flying up. Good position up on the roof there. And this now opens up the opportunity for MG to sneak up here behind Akatsuki to see if they can maybe find a little bit of an opportunity. But Nem also coming in behind them. So it is going to be a potential chain fight that could be erupting between these 3 teams.
A bloodbath indeed, and it does look like it's happening. NG over here taking good height cover over AMG, and that is a good position coming out from NG as they literally sandwich this opposition team. You still got Minius alive, but live not no more, as HT came in for that third-party sweep and took them out of this one. And now third-party onto NG. Solonzon has gone down and is getting revived, but not a potential revive that he can heal himself, as he keeps getting knocked again and again. On the other side of things, we look at MacTech, who's looking quite okay, got a good position as well, but rotate needed pretty much soon. And if you look to the left, you got HT is also making some grounds, of JT making some grounds over there. Martin King pretty much chilling right over here. We got the ML5 who's really carrying this team out with 5 eliminations at hand. And I mean, he's been the aggressor throughout for HT, and it's looking really good right now. 31 squads remaining. They're just sitting edge of zone, dead side rotate. They've slowed quite a bit over there from what they were doing in the off spawn. Good shot from distance. That's NG. But that sniper shot, getting that confirm is what's needed now. Henoski just behind that blue wall. It will come down in just a bit. but this team also just needing to rotate out of the danger zone as they are taking away and using those utilities, which is more essential in an end game position.
Well, let's see how this one is going to pan out here as Lacoste is going to start to move on up. I think it'd be interesting to see Lacoste actually make their way into a waterway because, you know, Lacoste is a fancy way to say crocodile. So we'll see how this is going to play out. Meanwhile, Clown, they've got a pretty decent setup here on that northwestern side of the zone. Really uncontested, beautiful bit of elevation that they have to work with here, but it is going to be a pretty tough one because we do see Medellin coming in right alongside them. So both teams could be looking to contest that high ground angles, looking to see who will claim the territory, at least for the time being. Red Magic now popping in shot after shot, trying to take those glue walls down. We got the UAV that's been deployed as well. So trying to get as much information that they can find here. But the rest of the teams, though, pretty focused on first getting through the engagements before committing to that zone positioning.
Right now, looking in at it, HT putting a lot of aggression over here on Valor, going in for another revive, but not enough. Blue Orbs placing time, and movement is quite good, but it's not going to buy him any more time as he is going to get eliminated. And now they're sitting at 18 eliminations across the field, 2 more to hit that 20. It's definitely coming with 18 players still alive. There's opportunity for massive kill points coming across the board over here. You got VT ratting it out there. That's late. OTT was out in a position where hopefully he doesn't get seen and tries to grab as much placement points as he can. Solarzen also in similar position. We got CL full squad. We got HT full squad. And I think we got JT, if I'm not mistaken. On the other side, yeah, JT has a full squad. But they're going up against HT, and you can see right now it is in favor for them as MLF picks up yet again another elimination, and now bombarding that squad with some furthermore knockdowns. Sneaky trying to heal, use those utilities. Ledex also in a similar position, being pressed from CL. Not a great play to find himself as they are sandwiched with third parties and bloodbaths in and around here at the end game position.
Well, it's down to quite a bit of a contentious play. Looking at this northern side, we got 4 teams out of the remaining 5 now looking to hold on. This is where Clown needs to pack up all the jokes and just bring in the pressure, right? They got to double down. So far, they are looking to lock in those elims as they only have 3, and they are going to need quite a few more if they want to get themselves well situated on the overall leaderboard. But this is going to be the crooked pressure right here, as we can see HT holding still on to the edge, having to rotate up a little bit more. You can see Medellin up ahead. They've now got the zone under lockdown, as it is going to be our final 3 teams now looking to contest, looking to see who will be walking away with that booyah, as Tori is going to be taking a little bit of damage. Igor just popping it in, but there is now even more pressure over on towards the western side of zone.
And it is being heavy. HT on the other side just watching as these 2 teams go at it head for head. CL, Jazz, and them are on. However, the down of the slope, which gives HT good coverage on seeing in a bird's eye view over the opponents, and MLF or ML5 right now places a glue wall just in time, and the team needs to come through to try support right over here, as he cannot have close combat with the weapon at hand, and that is that sniper. And he's been utilizing quite well, grenades catching in, damage being dealt across the board. No Morse is going down, Crusher left alone with his other mates over there, and we got Martin King who's also taking massive damage. MLF also 5, also knocked down in that position. Martin King goes down, and man, it's just got galore right here.
Let's see whether or not it is going to be continuing on here, as the pressure is starting to mount even more so. And this is now the opportunity for Medellin to see, can they pull Igor through? Igor is now trying to play off of any bit of coverage they can find here. Of course, just clearing up all these walls, making sure that there's no surprises. Instead, comes through with the surprises, but it is going to be a 1v2 fight to the finish, as Clown now comes up with a duo, looking to see if they can lock it in. The answer is a definite yes, as they pick up the booyah and walk away with a big old grin on their face.
Yeah, man, talk about a Kobe throw to finish that booyah over there. Absolutely beautiful coming out from Clown Esports. And now we're looking at it. Well, did they pick up enough eliminations to find themselves as the booyah winners, though?
Ooh, that's going to be an interesting question, though. I mean, Who knows? We'll see. We did see some pretty impressive stacks coming through. Of course, HT, right? They picked up 21, 22 eliminations, something ridiculous. So it is going to be quite an interesting one as we play our way through this. Medellin also bringing in quite a bit of heat. You can see players there from JT also packing in 7 eliminations. We got Valor walking away with 4. Akatsuki coming in with only 1, unfortunately. AMG picking up a few as well. The players there from Union X also doing a nice little bit of work. But unfortunately, a few squads are going to be sent back rather empty-handed, right? There can only be so many eliminations. I mean, even looking at Vent, yes, they finished strong. Yes, they ended pretty far into this game, but they did so with nothing to show other than the placement points.
Well, looking at it right over there, HT obviously were aggressive and overconfident. I think that plays a huge factor, especially in the first game. You don't expect that much heat coming out from a single team off the bat, usually around third, fourth, when you have to start putting a lot more eggs into a basket. But for HT, they put all their eggs into one single basket from the very get-go. Picking up 21 eliminations is a massive achievement, and that puts them ahead of everyone, definitely. And then for the winners over there, Clown Esports, only picking up 6 eliminations, if I'm not mistaken, to go to that very end of an end game, and you're not balancing your placement points with elimination points, is going to be so much as a downside to your achievement of winning game 1. But guys, that is game number 1. I'm sure the nerves are still very much awake here, guys. It is a 30,000 Grand Finals Mythic 2025 for FreeFire. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be jumping into game number 2 shortly. But just to give you guys a rundown on exactly what happened, game number 1 of Fire to Fire went ahead and took 21 eliminations across the board, and they are 24 eliminations across the board, and they're sitting at first with 32 points. Clown Esports getting that booyah, 6 eliminations, finds them at 18. Medellin third with 8 eliminations and 17 points. Then Jugo sitting in fourth with 14 points. Just Try in fifth with 12 points. Valor Esports in sixth with 8. And then we look at the right side of the leaderboard, and everyone there, guys, you need to do better. Now, going over to game number 2, what do you think about that, DK? Like overall, game number 1, what is your expectations for game number 2?
I mean, if you fight fire with fire, you can maybe beat Fire to Fire at their own game here in FreeFire. But that's a lot of fire, right? So it's gonna get pretty hot. I'm curious as to who's gonna be bringing in, even more heat as we are going to be stepping into game number next. As we know, that will be round number 2. We have 6 in total to play. So if this is the kind of pacing that the teams are bringing in the first game, it's going to be a pretty tough day at the office for quite a few of these squads, right? They're going to have to step it up. They're going to have to find that momentum, because if you leave Fire to Fire to do what they want to do, they are going to run away with that leaderboard. Already looking at the gap that we have there, we're already sitting on, 24 points difference. So it is going to be up to Clown Esports potentially to try and bring in as much of that heat as they can find. But Medellin also really close to them. But speaking of which, though, we are going to hop straight on in. We can see Forge could be a potential hotspot, as they might be receiving some extra bit of love coming in that direction. But it's interesting to see where these teams are going to look to get themselves situated in, and where will be that first engagement. But there's going to be hot drops.
There is definitely going to be hot drops, and I think Forge, just maybe outside Ski Lodge, are going to find a couple players right over there. But I mean, like, for your opinion, when it comes down to Battle Royale, or when playing Battle Royale, what do you most likely look at? Do you look at placement as the key factor, or elimination as the key factor to gaining points on the leaderboard?
Well, one thing that you're guaranteed of is eliminations, right? If you step it up and you bring the heat, right, you go out, you get aggressive, you can definitely look to capitalize on those placement points, exactly as we see happening here on screen, as it is now going to be the players here from Costa Nostra stepping up with quite a bit of a showing here. Placement points, you're not necessarily always guaranteed, right? Because you might be playing a phenomenal game, but then you go out before you hit the placement points. So the only thing that you essentially have to rely on is going to be those eliminations. And if you're fortunate enough to finish late in the game, of course, that's always just a big bonus.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, that played a major role there for Fire to Fire. 24 eliminations, finishing off third is a big achievement, and they're getting a little bit of that placement point. Because, I mean, for a win, we're looking at 12 points overall. Fire to Fire went ahead and doubled that with just eliminations, sitting on 24 kills, and that's 1 point per kill right over there. So massive points that they gathered for themselves, and already sitting high on that leaderboard, where it would take 2 booyahs just to catch up over to them without any eliminations at hand. So, I mean, shout out to Fire. They really understand the strategy, and they are very much aggressive. But every map is different. Every playstyle gets different. We might see something different come out from Fire to Fire. Maybe not so successful as game number 1, but who am I to talk? They're probably scrimming for their lives ahead of this grand of finals to ensure that they're going home with that big cake of 15,000 rand. We've got VT Supreme, who's been taken out, and I think that it's a team wipe over there with AMG coming through on Coca-Cola and Fanta elimination.
Hey, I mean, if it's got bubbles, it's gonna pop, right? So, yeah, Fanta, Coca-Cola, unfortunately losing all the fizz right then and there. But this is a good start coming through here for the Amigos. They ended the previous match with 4 eliminations. They already have 4 eliminations up, so all they can look to do now is just capitalize on even more chaos and carnage. But of course, the top of the leaderboard is going to go right here to Fire to see whether or not they are going to be looking to double down on all the insane efforts we saw back in match number 1. Center zone, though, surprisingly quite empty, quite vacant, as a lot of the teams are going to be prioritizing that edge play. But look at what we have happening on that far side, up and towards the northeastern edge of the zone. My team's starting to move closer, looking to get right down to business to bring in all the heat they can muster.
Yeah, it's looking quite dangerous right now. You got a Hawk with that good view over there, and that sniper as well, trying to get a good eye on them. Crazy taking massive damage with that zipline play from RCSC. He gets knocked also, while WLC also gets knocked. Well, Aldo also in the position of damage, but I think he's going to find himself quite okay with the revive coming in right now. You can see some eliminations come out. NG finding himself quite down, but I think revives are to become soon. Lacosta and Solazin, they've been carrying NG, in my opinion, in this overall playstyle that we've been seeing come out from them lately. Game number 1, it was Solazin who went all the way to the end, ratted out that one over there. And yet again, it's he's part of that squad that still remains alive. But again, playstyles differ, and we could see him struggling quite a bit. On the other side of things, Clown Esports, guys, your booyah for game number 1. They came through with a massive win over there over opponents like HT. Got 24 eliminations. Good, no remorse. Comes through with an elimination, sitting with 4 already, 5 with the team, and that's some good play style coming out from No Remorse.
Yeah, let's see whether or not there's going to be more on the line here as we quickly jump over to the side here of Nem to see what they have. It is, again, a very contested position, but for Crazy, well, this is actually a crazy spot, right? Just holding out on the roof. Nobody can reach them there just yet, but we have 3 teams now all looking to kind of share this position. So Red Magic, I like that off angle that they are taking up. Could definitely allow them the opportunity to find Crazy as the rest of the team will be deployed. But Clown just showing a lot of patience here. We can see Kaz also now starting to encourage a little bit more, pushing up onto Zero Remorse. But what is going to happen here for Kaz and the rest of the team as they look to push right in, just barging through the walls? But Clown on the opposite end, welcoming them in with warm barrels. And of course, that's not necessarily the kind of welcome you want.
No, not at all. No Remorse goes down. We see a couple revives also coming in at hand. 9 squads remaining, 35 players over here. Hawk also gets another knock, and RCSC just getting back to the battlefield right here, and he finds himself getting straight into it, where Aldo and them find players glued up, but it's not going to work over there. Clown Esports finding himself at the end of getting eliminated. I think there might just be 1 more squad left, or 2 more players still remain of them, which is actually quite fine. They will find themselves back in fighting for endgame, hopefully. We got the entire squad back in this from NJ, and that's exactly what you need. So contested towards the north of that map right over there. Center starting to get some players in, the zone shrinking, of course, and HT making some good groundwork as they were in and around Brasilia, now find themselves all the way out at the course. So right there, just chilling. And we got 1 player alive from CL, and he's literally going to need to pull a rabbit out of a hat right over here to find himself alive. 6 eliminations for Amigos right over here. This is exactly what we need coming out from a poor game 1 performance. They seem themselves quite happy right now. Good long distance shots to Aldo. Fant also picks up another elimination right over there, sitting on 4, and they're pushing aggressively onto this team right here. Hawk finds himself in trouble with close range combat, as he might find himself getting eliminated anytime soon. But those quick scopes we've seen play heavy amounts over here. Blue wall going down, good placement as well, as Hawk finds himself buying some minutes. But Aldo going in on a 2v1 situation, 3v1, call it a bloodbath, and now finds himself getting eliminated over there. I don't think the entire squad has been eliminated. Now they have, it looks like it. No, still 1 more player. Hawk somehow still getting revived in this.
Yeah, Hawk is just winging it, right? Doing everything they can to survive as long as possible. But at some point, these teams will have to get down and dirty, right? They're going to have to look to contest. And speaking of which, though, it is going to be Clown now feeling all the heat. As you can see, they will get pushed upon. It is going to be just trying to just get the shots in. A lot of walls now getting popped up all over the place, making it quite challenging to get a clear line of sight. But that is not going to hinder Windy here as they push on through, picking up 2. And now Red Magic will have to come through and try and save the day. Meanwhile, the Amigos also still looking to do quite a bit here. But you were talking about rabbits and hats, right? You said that the other team had to pull a rabbit out of the hat. I think Red Magic will have to pull a hat out of a rabbit.
So much wordplay over there. and following through. But I mean, like looking at that dash pump play or however he did it over there was quite fantastic, taking two players down very, very quickly was quite fantastic coming out from it. We got Fire to Fire still alive, which is Ori down. I think, buyback could potentially come into play. And there we are. We're seeing in a fighting contestation. Those squads have been eliminated, guys. We're still at that 9 squad around, and we're just seeing players ratting it out, buying their players back, and finding themselves in. But Amigos playing so much more different this time around. I'm just seeing their name pop up quite a lot in terms of kills and contributing to their team, which has been quite fantastic. We got AKT on a fight up against Fire to Fire. Who will come out on top is the big question, as Zone is going to start shrinking, and that's going to put pressure on these players to make that rotate. Mactac in the wide open over here. Blue Wall placed down. Martin King taking massive damage. Grenade going out. Will he get a connection? Doesn't connect. Does connect, but not much damage dealt to the opponents right over there. And you can see they are aggressively pushing into this confidently as well, as AKT want to pick up some eliminations as they're sitting on one player right there in the face of the opponent, but he doesn't pick it up just yet.
Tough play now. Akatsuki, they are trying to reclaim a little bit of the territory here, but that Zoran is also getting away from them. And they will need to find either aggression here onto Fire to Fire or get another strategy to get themselves repositioned. Does seem like they are going to disengage, at least for the time being. It is going to be Ori now looking to come in with a quick pickup. They need to rotate out of here because all this damage is not going to help them survive into those late stages. In the meantime, it is going to be Amigos holding up just on the edge of Zoran, awaiting the rest of the crews all to come rolling on through. We do see Valor also on that southern side, so there could be a good rotational pathway for them heading straight on up. But again, you got to look at the terrain, you got to look at the angles in which they're coming forward, and there's still maybe a few potential threats lying around the corner.
And we also got to take into consideration those long-range shots that could potentially come in harm's way. But no one is going for center zone. Everyone's still out to the distance. CL Jazz somehow finding their foot yet again in this tournament, picking up some eliminations. They're currently sitting on 7, and NJ find themselves in some predicament. And they've got to squeeze themselves through this in order to continue rotating further into that safe zone. And Clown Esports are potentially holding this one quite strongly, and it does look like another rotate idea needs to come out as WL now makes a rotate towards the left to see what that will look like. But a couple teams left with solos, 32 players left alive here, still in the fighting place. Some players going down, and that's Jazz, and it's a third party onto Clone Esports, finding himself in a predicament now, and Martin King, who's taken massive damage and as well as gotten some eliminations over here. And still, Clown Esports remain alive, has a couple of the players managed to sneak away out of this one and put up that smoke screen because no one saw them going. Now NJ go up against Fire to Fire, not the squad you want to be finding yourself with in a fighting contestation here in game number 2.
Yeah, definitely going to be quite a few things to come on through here, and we are going to be dropping codes in the chat as well. I believe, right, we were told that there are going to be some skin codes and things coming through, so just keep an eye out for that. I'm not quite sure. I did see someone say something about a code there, and that was definitely not it. So we'll see when these things actually start making their way in. But in the meantime, it is still going to be hot and sweaty out on the battlefield. As you can see, it's Fire to Fire trying to secure a bit of a pathway moving into this next phase. It is going to be Medellin up on the high ground. They could really look to get the jump in onto the Amigos. But is this going to pay off? So far, so good. One in, looking for two, almost getting that hit. Coca-Cola now trying to just quickly get out of harm's way, but it's going to be Mini now trying to come through with a bit of a rescue, trying to keep their numbers up. But fortunately, Coca-Cola manages to hold on, at least for the time being. But that is going to be opening up the opportunity here for Akatsuki to come through, as well as they are on even footing here alongside Medellin. Both teams are trying to secure that rotation. It is still a very treacherous pathway to get themselves secured.
It is indeed. I mean, we're looking at this zone, how many players are alive. It's super stacked. The retail space is also limited. NJ going in for a full team wipe right over there, and that is just Tribe who caused that right over there. Fire to Fire still alive, sitting with 6 eliminations. Not the best game number 2. Seeing them or seeing their performance of game number 1, they're definitely more capable. But again, different map calls for different type of playstyles, and that's exactly what we're witnessing right here. We got ML5, who's been taken out, who was the major contributor to the eliminations just before in game number 1, but right now sitting with only just 2. And you got Isaias, who's taking some massive damage, getting healed, and still sitting in the zone, taking again damage from that as well. So a lot of utilities are being used in that regard, and there's just so much pressure across the board. Roro, who we found just that being slightly eliminated earlier on, still alive, and their team fighting for an endgame win over here. 5 squads, 18 players, just try pot of contention, and 9 eliminations sit towards a Fire to Fire with 7. Sayers goes down yet again, and that's not a comfortable position as it leaves Martin King with his duo Yori, who's gonna now be in the fighting positions. And just look at this fight over here. What a mess we have with so many players inside this building, and just shots going up. 2 players down from this try as they continuously put on knockdowns onto MBL, and that's gonna be quite good as they revive. But Yori's out just outside the building, trying to pull in maybe a top 3, top 4 finish, as there is so many knockdown players that need to get confirmed, and this could be an opportunity for HT to pull some more placement points in favor for them.
Well, it is a very sweaty fight here out on the edge, but we are down to our 2 remaining squads. This could be Akatsuki's opportunity to just clean it up before Valor even makes it in, and that's exactly what happens. Akatsuki come through with the booyah as they lock down the zone and they claim the prize, which is, of course, a very strong finish. I mean, this is great for them, right? The previous match, they only had 4 points. Now, they walk away with the booyah, and of course the eliminations to back that up as well.
Honestly, like, absolutely nice coming out from the team, and they played it so well, you know, sit into the safe zone, let the mess happen where it's happening, and then gatekeep the rotation coming out from there. Massive eliminations. We're looking at 10 and a booyah, and that's going to certainly put them on a leaderboard for fighting chance at that 30,000 rand prize pool. But coming out in second, VL, third is Fire to Fire. And then we got some of the other players in finishing 12, finishing 6, and, you know, massive improvements needed from across the board. And if anything, if you're losing motivation, just take a look at AKT, who managed to come through with 4 eliminations game number 1, but now with a booyah and 10 eliminations in game number 2. So a comeback is always part of the plan. You just gotta stay motivated and don't lose the thrill to fight. But DK, that's game number 2. We've got game number 3 to set up quite shortly. So guys, don't go anywhere. Grab some more snacks as we jump into game number 3, and we'll see that leaderboard in just a bit. FreeFire has come out, has, comeback moments, 24 bombs, and we're going into game number 3 with potential more surprises that these 12 teams are going to bring to us. I mean, it's been absolute amazing, gorging bloodbath moments. I mean, even in that end game, that building was just surrounded with so many squads over there, DK. And all it took for AKT was just to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show as they managed to gatekeep that safe zone and get their win.
I mean, we see different strategies at play here as the teams are looking to step it up. But of course, here we have our overall leaderboard. Fire to Fire still holding that torch high as they are sitting at the top of the board. A little bit of a climb up, but as you can see, Just Try closing that gap considerably. They started off with 12 points. Now they have 31. Clown also continuing to keep on rolling all the way up onto 29. Akatsuki also making a beautiful jump. We did see them walking in with 4 points into this match. Now a glorious 26. So a very good day for them. But as we look over onto that right side of the page, everybody has points this time around, which I'm happy to see. But I still want to see what Vent, Union X, and of course the players there from Cosa Nostra are going to be looking to bring on forward. Because if they don't step it up, it is going to become very, very difficult once we hit that match number 4, 5, and 6 to try and close those gaps. But of course, speaking about gaps, we did see some codes being posted in the chat as well. So when it's from a mod, I think that would be a fair assumption to say that the code is safe to redeem, right? If it's from someone else, I won't name names in particular. But, thanks for reposting the links, though. Appreciate that. So if you see it, go claim it. If you get it, let us know in the chat. If not, try and get the next one. Speaking about which, though, we are going to be looking to see who's going to get the next Booyah at hand as the teams start to break off. We do see Snowfall receiving quite a bit of attention there as 2 teams dropping hard. But where are the rest going to go?
Well, lots of PRIs available for dropping, but right over here we got Just Try, who are sitting quite reasonable on that leaderboard. Dying now would just upset them. But again, we've seen how off spawn plays out. It's more about how many eliminations you can keep siphoning from the same team as the revives and buybacks keep happening. Right now we got BT, who's found himself also 1 elimination over there. Quite good for them. And I'm just looking at the 12-week performance of the teams over here. We'll talk about it in just a bit. Has Fire to Fire have takedown Supreme, King Hydra, and them now need to come in to try pick up some of these players. But it's Fire to Fire that you're going up against, and it's not always going to be an easy fight. Asayas, Yuri, ML5 find themselves going up against VT, and that's going to be quite an interesting one as well, as Vent Esports are taking massive confident pushes over here. King Hydra and Kulos left alone over on 2v2, but damaged out. Kulos down to quite a little bit of HP as well, so he's going to find himself 2v1, and he is getting some good distance. Blue wall plays, and that puts him in a good position to play some movements to bring in backup. But will the backup be good enough for him, as now we are seeing Sayas, who's going to get pressed, and pressed it is as he gets knocked, and Yuri now on the distance over there as he is running for dear life to try and make it out alive. But you can see Vent Esports not making that happen. Yuri takes massive damage down to 29. Can he get to a place where he can buy back is the question. And it does look like that is it. Just in time, Martin King and ML5 find themselves spawning back into the map.
I mean, that's a close call, right? Iori almost got a few additional vents added into their player body right there. So you don't want to go that route, but unfortunately can't hold it off too long, as it is going to be Vent pushing up, getting the double kill. Down they go. Kolos is going to be picking that one up so far. It is looking pretty good here for Vent, and a good comeback, right? The previous match was a pretty tough run for them, but I like this kind of momentum, continuing to try and improve match after match. Speaking about improvements, well, we do see quite a few teams already holding into the zone. You can see Fire to Fire all the way down that far southern side. So it does look a little bit lonely on that end. But meanwhile, in the rest of the zones, you can see the edge of zone right here on the southeastern side is going to be pretty hot and packed. This is once again Clown looking to see what they can find. Of course, the Amigos right here alongside them. Crash could maybe get themselves a sip of that Fanta, but will they be able to put the cap on the top? So far, it seems like a yes.
Beautiful plays coming out. 2 eliminations. Red Magic Crusher left alone. Buybacks needed for Jazz and no remorse as they find themselves eliminated. But with no doubt, this is a team that has made many comebacks in a single game. Samuel third, Famsi, Kunzo find themselves uncontested, alive and well. And we look over at NJ as well, who are now moving into POI, where Fire to Fire is. And again, this is going to be quite a challenge for both teams as they try to find each other. But caught sleeping with their pants down. His size who goes down. Iori left alone as a solo. Again, this is going to be pretty much easy for them and pick up that over there. But it's not a team wipe yet, as Fire to Fire is in separate POIs for 2 eliminations awarded right over there, and quite quickly as well. MDL sitting on 3 and quite well over here as they continue to rotate. 12 teams still remain, 43 players across the board. And this is just the beginning, but so much action has been displayed. We've got RC, SC, Tananan, if I'm not mistaken, right, DK?
Yes, sir. That is indeed them. I mean, they're coming in hard here, Arrow. Like, they're not even wasting time. They're like, you know what? Here's somebody. Here's an opportunity. Let's try and see if we can get the jump in on Medellin. But instead, Hawk is going to run out of health, at least for the time being. Is going to bleed out slowly. Let's see, can the rest of the team come through with a bit of a save here and bring their player count back up to 4. I like this pressure, though, but Medellin, they're trying to keep themselves a bit scarce, right? Just keeping out of harm's way. And then for Tananan, it is looking pretty challenging. Meanwhile, Just Try, though, they're doing exactly as their name suggests. They are going to be coming in hard, jumping, driving, and going all over the place, looking to get those eliminations secured. And I love this. But Costa Nostra, they're not going to be liking it all that much as the heat is right on top of them.
Man, the movement over there to get those eliminations was quite immaculate. Moving in like that, Glue World's place, jumping left, right, and they managed to pick it up. Full squad here is Fire to Fire going up against 2 players from full squad as well up on Valor Esports. And that is 3 against 4. And we see ML5 making plays, coming into this one right over here, and in the building they go, but Martin Kane, he doesn't pick up anything just yet. He's now fully surrounded by Blue Wall as he tries to get some cover over there. And on the other side, Valor plays some plays, but those plays come to an end with some eliminations and knockdowns happening in on there. And 1 more player left alive, if I'm not mistaken, for VL, and that is going to be a team wipe. We're down to 11 players right over there, and 11 squads, 36 players. But Tananan overall, I mean, I'm looking at that 12-week leaderboard. They finished second with the 3-point gap between Fire to Fire. Fire to Fire is showing that, you know what, they finished first over a 4-week qualifier, and they're still first in the grand final. So, you know, they're living up to the standard of what they played in the qualifiers. Tananan on the other side are not doing exactly what, you know, they're capable of. Finishing second over a 4-week qualifier, but today are just not showing up. I mean, with DK, what would potentially be the reasons behind that? Is it nerves on the day? Is it the thought of winning the prize pool? Is it different mechanics, best of the best coming together and they just can't stand up against them? Or what plays a big role behind that?
I would say it's mainly nerves, right? Because, I mean, there's so much at stake here, right? As we know, they are playing for a quite comfortable prize pool. So you want to try and play it your best. And you know, with that comes a certain level of nerves. Some players can cope exceptionally well under pressure, others having a little bit more of a challenging time. So you're going to hope that you are the one that can cope well under the pressure. And of course, only time will reveal which one of those you are. Speaking about pressure, though, it's going to be the Amigos now, having to hold off a few visitors as the pressure starts to mount. It is going to be Tananan now looking to find a bit of an angle. They do send quite a few utilities up top, looking to breach, but not having that clear go just yet. I like this from the Amigos, though. They're not going to be putting themselves in a little bit of a vulnerable position. Instead, blocking the windows, setting up those walls, making sure that they have the controlling angle here.
Oh, just as you said that, they drop down, put pressure on Tananan, and that is going to be quite good. Massive damage across the board. Then he's 7 doing exactly that, taking advantage of those window peaks. But look who goes down. Coca-Cola trying to get that revive, but it's also long distance shooting happening from Hawk, and it's not playing a huge he's playing a huge role actually in defeating Amigos, because RCSC, three players of them were at the building, and that made Amigos jump down and get to fight. But Hawk was at distance dealing the damage, and that actually played a huge role in slowing down what they were doing. But full buybacks for Mini and Fanta, and we're seeing them come back into this one right over here. Coca-Cola, R7BB, Tenanan yet again have a fighting chance in game number 3. Talking about fighting chances, Clown Esports took out Fire to Fire just earlier, and they are completely out of game number 3. 10 squads remain, 34 players right over there, and that's going to now bring in some massive changes to that leaderboard potentially. I mean, we're looking at Clown Esports, who are doubling up on eliminations, doing quite consistently in their placement points as well. So we could potentially find them in a first place position or just after this.
Well, we'll find out as we hit the next few phases, but where will they go? I'm not quite sure what Hawk is doing all the way out in the far northern reaches of that zone, but probably going to be looking to find a little bit of safety. In the meantime, Igor, is going to need a little bit more assistance. Not quite isolated from the rest of the team, but this is a very tricky situation to try and play through. Oh, beautiful hits now. Getting sent over into the side here of Medellin. And this is where it all could start crumbling down for them. Meanwhile, it is going to be Union X also looking to find a little bit of that continuation. Clown trying to catch up with the zone as it closes up right here into Rai. But the pressure is on. They are not alone. Will they get jumped, or will they be the ones doing the jumping? I mean, they are very active. Got to give them that. But now Valor finding themselves in a similar situation here as they also now look to step up. It is again going to be Thananen looking to come in hot. Just picking up eliminations all over the place. Currently sitting with 9 under their belt. Are they going to be able to bag even more?
Well, definitely, I think they will be able to do exactly that. Looking at MacTech, he gets to get revived, and that's going to be good for them as they have a good fighting chance over. But get into the safe zone is now the key focus for that team. And we're looking at CN, who are finding themselves in a good position, similar to what Amigos found themselves in. And that was on the second floor of the building. We've got some players rotating from the danger zone into safe zone right now, and still a couple of players taking massive damage. MacTech yet again gets knocked, but this time gets confirmed, finds himself down. Famesy all the way in distance and trying to get into the safe zone, but just being targeted. It's AKT, CN, so many players in and around the vicinity that is obviously playing a huge role to gatekeeping that safe zone. Right now, MDL find themselves rotating quite okay. They're okay, but there's just so much players in and around over here, DK.
I mean, that's the issue with making it up into those late stages and still having 9 squads alive. 30 players looking to get themselves situated all throughout this coming next few phases. And we can see that closure is going to come through. That will take us up into zone number 4. But in the meantime, it is going to be the Amigos alongside Medellin having themselves a bit of a standoff. Igor, Dantes, everybody trying to pop it off. Up comes Fanta, Mini, everybody just flying all over the place. Looking very similar to what we had at the end of the previous match, but we're not even there yet, as you can see now. It is Amigos going with absolute aggression. Quick little dashes coming through here as well. But Ken Hate make it out of this one is going to be the final remaining player for their squad. Clown also now getting pressured on the edge of zone, but not looking too phased, at least not for now. They can try and rotate up. There is going to be a potential opportunity if they can squeeze through on that western side, but it is not going to be an easy one. Meanwhile, Amigos focusing all their efforts right here across the way, looking for Nem, but Nem, they're just going to try and keep themselves just out of harm's way, but not really succeeding in that, as Red Magic comes through, looking to capitalize.
Right now, Jazz jumping straight into them, Jugo, and they're sitting on top of their building. Good positioning. Solar's in, taking massive damage, but managing to heal up. Also not a great position, I think, putting himself just in the open over there, and that's why they go down and try hide, but still getting knocked. Is Crusher. He does manage to revive, but still taking massive damage. No remorse, also healing. And I don't know why they're taking this damage over here. when they're in the safe zone but still getting knocked. But right now, as things stand for Clown Esports, they seem pretty much okay on the second floor. Some Jugo, and what can they do? Can they survive this blue wall and hope that they don't run up the stairs? Lucas takes a bit of damage. He gets knocked. WLC also taking massive damage. He gets knocked. The Boston Soul is in, left alone of this team, but a team wipe is surely coming. And Clown Esports takes the broom and sweeps away.
Yep. Clean up aisle 4, please. Clowns not joking around this match as they step on up. They have no remorse for the opposition, but they still have a bit of a way to go as we have 5 other squads looking to contest. Hawk this time finding themselves out in the danger zone, but they're going to have to find a quick entry. As you can see, Eldon making a quick dash, but getting picked up mid-air. Hawk managing to securely land is going to now become a little bit of a problem there over towards Costa Nostra on the edge of zone. Amigos looking to come in with strong numbers here. They still have all 4 players up and 14 eliminations strong. So this could potentially be them snowballing their way up into that Booyah.
Booyah definitely coming in. 5 squads, 15 players remain. 4 teams remain on Clown Esports. We're looking at Tenanan with just about 2. Amigos also sitting quite comfortably with the full squad over there, so that's looking quite good overall on how things are playing out for them. Laken, Sleazy, Denrique, now left alone, has a full trio to potentially fight this one over here. Tenanan finally in the fight for endgame, but it's Hawk and Mazika, and you know Hawk has that sniper at hand, so it's always going to be quite tough for him in endgame positioning, where he has to get that close combat. Will he get those big scopes? We'll have to wait to see, but right now healing is Mazika, but not healing enough as Hawk goes down, and now we've got a rap play with the solo Amigos on the other side of things are moving in closer onto Mazika, and he finds himself ever so pressured, and he's just about to get eliminated, placing down some blue walls, using the heals over there, and we got Denrique and them out and dusted. Amigos sitting with 18 eliminations, 2 squads remain, and it is going to be Amigos coming up against the likes of Clown Esports, and this could be a second booyah for Clown Esports as they move over to the opposition, find their players in a container. Could they wrap this one up and send it back to the lobby? We're going to have to wait and see, with a couple knocks already secured. Coca-Cola waiting to pop, and I think it's going to come, and that is it. The GG's to the team as we do have their second booyah, winning game 1 and game 3. They might as well win game 5 and keep that trend going.
I mean, you can't put them at fault for what they've done here. Clown doing absolutely phenomenal work. Absolutely love that, as you've mentioned, right? Their second booyah already secured. I mean, this could be exactly what they need to try and catch up with the players holding on to pole position, as we didn't see Fire to Fire coming in as aggressively this time around, right? They were facing quite a bit more opposition, but we also then got to give a bit of credit here to the rest of the teams that were able to kind of bring it on forward here. Amigos, nice consistency there from them as well, walking away with 18 eliminations, so that is going to bode quite well for them, as we did see Fire to Fire not finishing strong all the way at the bottom of the board. But then, of course, Costa Nostra, right? They came into this match holding on to that 12th position, but now finishing in 4th with a few additional eliminations to bag alongside that. We could definitely see them moving up quite a bit, but if, the teams at the bottom side of the board want to catch up, they're going to have to be a lot more aggressive than that.
A lot more aggressive. I mean, but great story to Amigos on how they've been playing, and, also talk about consistency on Clown Esports. Fire to Fire were consistent, but fell short to Clown Esports in mid-game area, and that is going to be heavy in terms of points, as we see a booyah come through with Clown Esports, who were sitting in second place. But after this, surely a first place coming. But guys, we're going to only have to wait and find out after a little bit extended break. If I'm not mistaken, between game 3 and 4, there is an extended break for the players to rest, reset, and find themselves in the second half of the Mythic FreeFire tournament, brought to you by PC Builder in partnership with MSI, AMD, Patriot, Crucial, FSD, Game Pass, and Windows 11. Guys, we're back. I took a massive 5-minute nap. Best nap of my life right over there. DK, he went to France and back in that time period, and he's ready for game number 4. But guys, I'm more interested to see exactly what it means with Clown Esports picking up their second Booyah Amigos, taking a second place right over there, and massive eliminations awarded to them in that game, and as well as FreeFire to Fire, who have been eliminated mid-game. Clown Esports first place 55 points, but Fire to Fire in second with 54, Amigos in third with 52, Just Try in fourth with 40, Medellin in fifth with 35, Tenenant making that comeback with a couple eliminations in sixth with 33. Still a massive way to go for the remaining part of Mythic 2025. And the right side of the team, now we're starting to see some points. We're starting to see some, competition right over here, DK. And I think, it's going to be quite interesting to see what 4, 5, and 6 has in line for us. Am I lagging? Okay,
but
so
it's all going to be down to... We've been seeing quite a bit of a change come through with the teams here, and of course it's amazing when the microphone decides to go on mute, right? Maybe there was just too much heat coming through out in the lobbies here, and it just decided it couldn't handle any of that. But speaking of which, though, it is going to be time for us to head straight on in, Aero.
Yeah, straight on into that 4th game. I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what this has in line for us. The story is changing ever so. With game 1 and 2, it looked like, we have a 3-way competition, because first place looked very much locked. But after the consistency from Clown Esports, the second Booyah Amigos also coming through with some couple kills, it brings in a different type of story that we have for the second half of Mythic 2025. And that is the case of, we don't know who's going to be winning. I mean, 1 point lead between first and second, 3 point lead between first and third. It's anyone's game at this point. It's all matters down to who's going to be the most aggressive and who's going to get the most consistency in terms of placement. Those are the 2 factors right over there that will award us with our Booyah for 6 games.
But I think the exciting thing here is, as we saw in that last match, that teams can still jump quite a bit in one single game, right? And looking at the point situation, yes, there is quite a bit of a gap as Medellin comes rushing straight on in here over into Bullseye to, well, hit the Bullseye and get their hands on yet another elimination. But I'm looking at Akatsuki and, of course, the players there from NEM. Even Valor, I would say, they have an opportunity to get themselves quite comfortably situated over on that left-hand side of the overall standings. As we know, the top 4 slots, those are the slots that are going to be worth that share of the prize pool. So these teams are going to have to bring in quite a bit of that pressure if they want to contest for that. But looking at what they are doing right here so far, it is looking pretty exciting. We've got 46 players currently up on their feet, moving all over the place. It is going to be Vent. Just keeping a little bit of a cheeky angle here. We do know Just Try is ahead of them. But I seem like Vent, well, they keep a bit of an Overwatch angle coming through from Supreme, making sure they don't get caught out on that rotation.
Yeah, you don't want to be caught out right over there. Got a couple of players being brought back. 12 squads, 44 guys. We got Max right over here. Low Tolodan for Namjugo staying alive yet again. But it is going to be him who gets taken out. Lopes left alone as a solo, but easy buybacks potential. So very early on over here. Red Magic Jazz taking massive damage, and their off-spawn has been quite a mess. If you ask me, they've gone down way too many times, only picking up 2 eliminations. On the other side, NBL taking massive points off spawn. Those 5 kills play a huge role, especially on where they are standing. It's a perfect opportunity to rewrite their story, their chapters in the coming parts of game number 4. And if they continue picking up more eliminations, it's fantastic play styles to go through. You got Tando or Tad, who's just playing games right over here with the team. What is happening?
It's a little bit of that cat and mouse here with Valor, but unfortunately, Thad can't continue too much of that as they will get picked on up. Now it's going to be Amigos looking to push onto Famesy, but this could be Union X in, unfortunate reunion as they get closed through. This Amigos looking quite comfortable with a controlling angle. No one here to contest them up in Cape Town, so I think they're going to sit quite comfortable. But I say that, then up comes players from Vent pushing in yet again. Now it's going to be Layot coming in, or Layot coming up here as well. You know, we can pronounce these names in any way that I think makes sense. Let's see if Mini 7 can make sense of the carnage.
Yeah, literally. While whatever we call it, however we say it, it is always going to be different. Could be how, just take our word for it, what we call them. Right now we do have I Hate Yous coming in to Aldo, take him out. However, we are seeing some response coming in with some good knocks from distance. Hawk obviously keeping that distant coverage quite fantastic. Aldo getting revived right now, and that's going to be quite good for him. But on the other side of things, can he continue doing the damage that he does? And he does do it. Hawk at distance, sitting with 3 eliminations, and that was a beautiful headshot, man.
I mean, not only that, Hawk is rocking double snipers, right? Is double parked with the snipers. There's like, you know what? A sniper is cool, but let's go for twice as nice, because why not, right? So I think Hawk should change the name to Hawkeye, because that shot was just on the money. It was pinpoint accurate, and I'm pretty sure the team that got hit is not too happy with that. But speaking about hit, that is what we see right here, as Valor are going to get hit as Amigos move on through here. Nice little bit of an off angle coming through here as Amigos just utilize the living goodness out of the stompbound. But Zeus trying to thunder down, trying to see if they can find the angle. Coca-Cola tending to Fanta, bringing the team back on their feet. Up comes Ragnar, looking for an angle opportunity. It is going to be quite a bit of jumping now, but unfortunately they are going to be jumping into the lobby instead.
Oh, for real, we're down to 9 squads. Migos sitting comfortably with 9 eliminations, if I'm not mistaken, right over there. And Tenanen are sitting on 5, making a good comeback from the poor performance of game number 1 and game number 2. I mean, they were sitting on that right side of that leaderboard, but I believe now have squeezed into the left side of the leaderboard, which shows potential to continue fighting for a chance at that split of prize pool. We've got AKT, who've now gone in and taken out the 9th squad of the game number 4, and that has been pretty much exactly that. Namjugo still alive, and somehow Lopes was the only one who was left alone. Lopez, he was left alone right over there.
Yeah, it's Lopez. I mean, if it's Lopez, you got to see that Shake come through as well. Speaking about Shake, right? This zone is going to be shaking down a few of the teams as they have to try and play a serious game of catch-up. But as you can see already, it is going to be Nem now moving up into peak. We got Pochinok, very vacant. Mars Electric could maybe see fire move in there. Meanwhile, Amigos now just absolutely laying it down. Sneaky getting hit. But is this going to be the opportunity for Amigos to bring their teammates back as Mini 7 gets picked up? They live to fight yet another phase. But they're going to have to try and keep the pressure on, right? Get out of Cape Town. Get yourself into zone. I know the beach is quite comfortable, but unfortunately, there's not a beach in that version of Cape Town. Now it's going to be a Hawk coming through again with that double parking snipers. Who's going to be the next potential victims?
I mean, anyone at this point. He's really doing the damage. But look right here, Tenanen pushing straight onto Namjugo, and they go in for high plays onto the building right now. And not really fighting positioning that they find themselves in at the very top of there. And Hawk, great shot, double tags on 2 different players, does bring in quite the damage over there. Massive 104 damage. Man, what was the play in going onto the roof if that's what you're going to be taking, getting down from there? But overall, Tenanen really want more eliminations. They want to show exactly why they finished 2nd place after 4 weeks. And Namjugo is saying, hey, you come to us, we go away. And that's exactly what's happening right now. But they are being tagged, and there's nothing they can do. Their location is exactly where you can see it on the map. So no matter how far you run, if they see you, they go for you. And right now it's happening right over there. You can see the damage come through.
Well, as we jump over onto the players here from Costa Nostra, let's see if they can get anything done. Of course, they've come into this match with 17 points up. Now with the 3 eliminations, does put them up to 20. But are they going to be able to find even more elims? Are they going to be able to capitalize on those placements? In the meantime, ooh, it is going to be Dunanan going at it yet again. 5 eliminations up. Hawk and Kaz bringing in a strong contribution, just doubling down on the efforts. But you can see Nem, ooh, getting spotted out on the side. Not the best position to hold. And that's going to be Lacoste and the rest of the team having to face the music. As up comes Tenanan looking to turn them in. But will they get those eliminations?
Eliminations, yes. And Namjugo left with WLC and Solo Zen, who's just gotten eliminated right now. But again, with being a solo player and getting distance between the opposition players and where you are right now, buybacks is almost guaranteed to happen. But he is running straight into another opposition team right there. Clown or CL right now, pretty much chilling on their side of things. Only 2 eliminations for them. Look at Amigos, man. Double digits already. They're sitting quite comfortably. 29 players still in fight over here. 3rd kills now coming in for Clown Esports. And finally, they're starting to see what they're capable of. And they're going up against AMG. Massive long-range shots coming out. To damage done to Jazz and FreeFire potential trying to come in. But it doesn't look like it's happening. And just as they say that, it does rise from the dead. Coca-Cola, however, down. And these long-range shots are really causing quite a lot of utility to be used at distance right over here.
Yeah, things are looking pretty tough now for Clown as the zone has caught up to them. I'm not quite sure if they're going to get their 3rd booyah. But Clown, they're going to have to get down and into that zone. It is going to be a pretty tough play, but getting ready for the launch. Will Amigos spot them out? If we jump over to Tenanan, they've got good possession up on towards the north. Meanwhile, Fire to Fire are going to be pushing in on that western front. So quite a bit of contention still held all across the zone. Meanwhile, it's going to be Nem just patiently waiting, looking to see if anybody will be venturing up towards them. Fire to Fire looking to launch up. Ooh, canceling that approach here. Are they going to prioritize the carnage, or will they go for the surprise play? That zone is going to be closing up, so they have to make a decision here.
They have to. And I mean, like, right now, going up against it, Just Try would also be good because it would hinder their positioning in that leaderboard. I mean, they're sitting 4th, if I'm not mistaken. So anyone in that top 4 position is going to be a threat to 1st place. And we'll see what it means for Fire to Fire. And also, just look at Fire to Fire. They passively changed their playstyle from Game 3. You know, picking up massive kill points, going in aggressively and confidently. But now, a big change in Swift into the way they're playing. 7 spots remaining. They're only sitting with 1 elimination. We would potentially be seeing, you know, a lot of the eliminations come through from this spot. But it's just not happening for the second half of the tournament. And right now, just rotating quite successfully.
Where's this gonna go though? I mean, it's looking pretty sweaty on the edge here. No one having any security just yet. It's still going to be Fire to Fire holding nice and steady on the far edge there. In the meanwhile, it is going to be Thunanan looking to push on up now as they come in with a bit of a surprise angle here. Oh, but you got to watch out though. Still quite a few teams having to move in from that western side. So whatever Costa Nostra can do here, they're going to have to try and get a bit of overwatch. I mean, I like this angle that they have. It is Just Try and Fire to Fire that are yet to make a good, successful rotation. But up they come. It's going to be Just Try sneaking out, trying to stay true to their name. Meanwhile, the rest of the players here from Fire to Fire keep on just leaping forward. They now make entry, but no cover really to make much use of. It is Just Try on the back end is going to pincer them down. But I like this gatekeep opportunity coming through here from Costa Nostra as they just send out utilities and sprays, trying to see just how much they can apply onto the side here of Fire to Fire.
Man, it's not looking too good for them. Massive damage, and that means using a lot of utility. And they're also pretty much sandwiched and just try getting to a different position. We're seeing some knockdowns come through from Denrique over to Tenanen, if I'm not mistaken. And Tenanen does look like they do have very little players alive, if not being completely team-like. No, there's Hawk left alone in the distance over there. And that's how he plays. He plays from far because close combat is not in favor for him. But CN, on the other side of things, are looking pretty much aggressive on how they move into picking up eliminations. And just look at the Fire to Fire, good damage from distance. And Hawk gets eliminated down to 5 squads, 14 players, 4 squads now. And it's just going down by the second. AKT finding himself trying to pick up some damage over here. And we've got CN was the only squad left alone in terms of full numbers. The rest are sitting with 3, 2s. And could the numbers mean a booyah for this team and a potential turnaround in their performance over the 4 games that have been played?
Well, let's hope that that is going to be a yes for them. But now, Akatsuki still have a bit of a way to go. They're not quite out of it just yet. And also looking at that closure that is going to be coming through momentarily, they might find themselves in quite a bit of a sticky situation. They are, of course, reaching across the way, trying to connect up with the players there from Fire to Fire. Fire to Fire also now just going to be fighting with that zone. So much damage getting delivered all over the place. It's just Stry now taking a position up on the bridge. Currently the only team holding on to zone. But look at this. It is going to be Fire to Fire down to a solo. As it is then Costa Nostra coming in with all the heat here. Just doubling down on the aggression. They're going to try and make this one last. They are, of course, coming in tense position before heading into this match. But the 9 eliminations could definitely work out well for them. They're going to try and put their focus solely on that booyah. But will they be able to get the job done? Denrique, that's not necessarily the way to go. You are going to be tanking a little bit of that damage. But down to the final 3, we do have a little bit of that bridge trolling happening here as well. Oh, it's going to be a very, very tough play to secure the booyah here.
It is. I mean, I think the team that's comfortably on the bridge right now, just trying, could potentially win this in a kill off. But that zone rotate is moving away from the bridge. But the fact that they have natural height right now in terms of where they positioned, it's quite fantastic. But again, it looks like CN are better positioned with this cover that they have right now. And just try, I don't know what would potentially, who would better come out on top. But it does look like, you know, this team with the position that they find themselves in, they can gatekeep. But there's some vehicles being used, so just try to potentially move in, and Sneaky takes down Sleazy. And that does numb down the numbers that the team had, the advantage that they had. But Sleazy quickly back and fighting in this one over here. And right now, it's just between Just Try and CN as the other squad is quietly making their rotate into the safe zone, hopefully not being targeted by anyone else. And that's exactly what's going to happen. AKT find themselves going ahead of zone and find themselves better position, and now could go into third-party plays. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Massive damage down to Sleazy and the team over there. AKT doing it quite well right now.
Well, a beautiful off-angle rotation coming through from Akatsuki here, but is it going to be enough to secure them that booyah? They do have a bit of a controlling angle here onto Costa Nostra. But who will be the one to lock it in? It is going to be a full send from either side. We've got 7 players alive, so that puts us in a 3 before Akatsuki rushing forward. Being gone, as the name suggests. Now MacTech looking to push up. Beautiful sprays. 1 player standing between them and that booyah to come on through. Are they going to be able to lock it in? Costa Nostra trying to bring everything they can to the battleground, and they walk away with the booyah, trying to bounce back. What a play, though, coming all the way from that 10th position to step up and lay their hands on the booyah.
That was absolutely beautiful coming out from CN over there. Good control throughout the entire end game. It was quite a difficult one between Just Try and them, but nonetheless, they still pull through, and as well, hefty amount of elimination, 16 on the clock over there, a booyah as well. That is going to bring them some good points to now work with that towards the last two final games of the Mythic 2025. AKT second, just trying third, and just try is staying consistent. I mean, they were fourth just before fourth game, and now continuously staying in the game alive and well. We looked at Clown Esports coming out at seventh with only 4 eliminations. Amigos even worse at eighth place, right over there. So that was a difficult fourth game for the top 4 contenders of the prize pool. And obviously, I don't see much changing in terms of positioning. We could potentially stay the same. It could change slight 1 or 2 positions up there and there. But overall, not big changes. We'll have to wait and see exactly what that means after the short break that we're going to take. So make sure you guys don't go anywhere else. Okay, guys, action galore, beautiful gameplays, good comeback story times, and now we're in the second last game of the evening. We've had a new booyah, and that comes out from DK said the name.
Who? The booyah. Ooh.
The team, the person who won. The team.
The booyah. The team. It's not a person. Of course,
It's
that
CN.
was yes, Costa Nostra. They went all
There
the way
we
from
go.
10th place to wherever they find themselves right now, which is 7th. It just shows you how tough it is out here with these standings, right? I mean, you play one good game, you increase the points, but there's already so many teams with points, but it's getting really close, right? Amigos with 65 points versus the 45 points for Costa Nostra. So 20, that is the differentiator here between 1st and 7th place. But as we know, only the top 4 is where the prize money is at.
Literally top 4. And right now, just try, although going through to 2nd place, still find themselves outside of that top 4. And that is due to the performance that we are seeing come out from Tenanen, the performance of Amigos, and, pushing just try outside of that. But AKT making a good comeback as well. 46 points, just about 19 points behind 1st. And we know what it takes to get into 1st place. It's literally going to be 24 kills and a win. And that is literally going to find yourself very comfortably in a fighting contestant in the last game. Now, it's not an everyday thing to pull off. We've seen it once this tournament, and that was from Fire to Fire. But Fire to Fire have lost their way going into Game 3, Game 4. We haven't really seen so much from them. Maybe things start to change as we go back into good maps that they could potentially take advantage of. But right now, good rotate coming out from sort of south to north in some way, form or matter. I'm not really good with the compass, but forgive me. The plane is flying over the map.
Yeah, it's starting over there and it's ending over there, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah. It's not ending where it started, and that is a good thing to see. But speaking about seeing, though, we can see our teams are getting right down to business up here in the lumber mill, as it is hot and heated right out of the gate. But who's going to be the one to walk away with what? As it is Union X now getting laid into Stat, feeling a bit of a thud there as the shots connect on up to them. Zeus, though, feeling a little bit of thunderous action as they will get knocked on down. We do see Roro over on the side there, but I don't see any boats, so not quite sure where they're going to look to row to.
No rowing for that team right over there. AMG find himself in a 3-way split at Crossroads, and you could see exactly what this means for them, as it's Vent Esports coming up against Tenanen, and it's not even 3-way split because Coca-Cola and Fanta are split. So I wonder why the drop like this. Crossroads heavily contested, such a small POI to find so many of these players right over here. And that's some free kill points over to Tenanen, who are making a major comeback in this tournament. They started very bad, but from game 3 have found their foot in this tournament and are making a name for themselves once more. From a 2nd place finish in the 4-week qualifier, they find themselves now fighting for the share of 30,000 rand from being almost lost on that leaderboard. Mini 7 in distance over there. Got to be careful with the snipes out on hand. Vent Esports coming out with that. And that's Supreme who's potentially doing the damage. But Mini 7 goes down to Sayas out from Fire to Fire, and they come for a 3rd party very quickly. And man, Crossroads is just where everyone meets, right? It's those crossroads.
Yeah, I mean, the name says it all. So let's see who's going to look to cross the road and who will find themselves in the crossroads. So for the time being, it is going to be Clown looking to push up here as they come in, knocking on the door of Medellin, looking for a bit of an opportunity, but instead it is going to be No Remorse and Jazz that will get picked up. Quick response as they do find a bit of a pickup here. 2 players now left on the side here of Clown. We've already seen those 2 Booyahs being secured by them. Are they going to be able to lock it in again? 2 players up is going to make it quite challenging, but Igor looks quite eager to get involved. Instead, offers themselves up as an elimination point, and that now is looking much better here for the side of Clown.
It is indeed looking slightly better. Red Magic Crusher can go for buybacks to bring their team back into it. But MDL and them still in the vicinity is 3 against 1 right now as things stand. But Rotate using maybe potential hoverboard go out at play. Crusher at distance, he's going to be quite fine. to get away from the mess as it stands right now. Aldo taking massive damage, so is Mazika as the damage comes through. Hawk in the blaze of fire, and that's a team wipe! Tenninen, who were on a potential comeback, have now been taken out completely in the early stages of game number 5. But story for them is still not over. It just takes one great game and you are back into it for the last one right over there. But that's literally now putting all your eggs into one single basket. Just try have Senzo down, Ledex taking some damage, Sneaky, Windy, all looking quite okay. And again, it's still at the crossroads, so much damage being dealt here at this vicinity. And I think, you know what, retreating is potentially what is needed. Just try takes massive damage, so is Martin King, who's going down, and confirmed Saya's taking damage as well at distance. But Fire to Fire is being okay. You know what, they're going up against Just Try, and Just Try finds himself at 5th. So they are threats to the prize pool.
Yeah, it is going to be quite the challenge here for everyone to hold on. I mean, Fire to Fire, if they can lock it in, right, there could be an opportunity for them to secure those 3 points they need to catch up to the Amigos. But it is going to take quite a bit because, as we know, everybody is going to be looking to bring their A game onto the battleground here. Speaking of which, though, we are making our way across the board, looking to see where everybody's rotating up from and through. As we now jump over to Medellin, they find themselves in an uncontested area, so it could be good for the loot section. As well, if there are any loot goblins like I am, they are going to be smiling about that. But it does also buy them a bit of an opportunity, right? They have the chance now to just kind of breathe, reassess, and figure out how they're going to look to push through. But we can see things might be short-lived up in towards that center zone. Meanwhile, Clown are going to be still very isolated all the way on that far side. Meanwhile, if we jump back over to Nen, we can see they're up here in Brasilia. And it is not the easiest place to rotate through because Medellin is right here alongside them.
It is not easy at all. And Lacoste coming in right here and taking massive damage as a solo, or trying to deal the damage as a solo, is not really the ideal play. Solo's in coming in from behind, and maybe it is a coordinated attack because MBL is looking quite confused on what the hell just happened, but they find themselves in cover, in building, and Lopes and their teammates just pushing through, and they pull through. However, we see one knock come out from Namjugo, a second one come out from Namjugo, and just what was a coordinated attack doesn't look so coordinated anymore, as Soluzan also finds himself going down and dusted, and look who's on the run. It's Namjugo, where it was more favorable in their side of things, and only Dantes was knocked on the side of MBL. But I thought, you know what, it looked like Lopes was going in for 3v1, and then you saw Solos in that distance, and it looked like a three-way sandwich, but somehow the strategy just failed in the end, and so much more attacks still coming in at the vicinity right now, as you have Fancy and left alone as a solo. Kenzo, Thud, and Summerlay down and dusted, and the self-revives are not going to be played as the team gets eliminated. 7 squads, 27 players remaining. Man, that was action galore.
Yep, that was quite a bit of action coming through on that one. As you can see, Nem bringing their players back into the fight. Akatsuki now looking to do the most with the 3 that they've got left. Meanwhile, Costa Nostra, we did see them trying quite hard in the previous match to try and close the gap. Are they going to be able to replicate those efforts this time around? They have not been able to find themselves a single elimination, as they are playing a little bit more of a passive approach, trying to keep themselves out of those engagements, waiting for potentially maybe a later stage in this match to really get cooking. But speaking about cooking, we are going to look over onto Fire to see, will they be stepping into the kitchen and making a few things hot, or are they just going to sit around and wait for the players to move up towards them? We do see Costa Nostra just behind them, so we could be in for quite a bit of a show here.
Yeah, a show on top of a show that we've already had in game number 5. I mean, when we're looking at the type of kills, the action that we've had, and you know what, Cosa Nostra, I don't know how to say the name, they seem pretty much too passive for my liking. I mean, bouncing off a booyah, finding yourself sitting in at 7th after being, bottom of that leaderboard, you would expect more eliminations, but it's passive plays that potentially got them the win in the first place. But with the eliminations at hand, you ask yourself, where did they find the time to pick it up? A booyah and some good kills is needed again for them to find themselves getting even closer to that top 4 leaderboard, because like you said in the beginning of this game, it's just so contested in the points over there. Very tough challenges ahead for a lot of these teams if they want to walk away victorious. A share of 30,000 rand, you got that 4-week qualifier competition, and just leading up to the grand finals there was a lot of prep and time put into it. To see yourself fall short of a top 4 finish when you've done a booyah, when you put your all, it's going to be quite heart aching. So we'll see exactly what happens with the teams that are finding themselves shy of that 30,000 share, what they will be doing in the end game, and as well as the last game of the Mythic 2025.
Well, speaking about the last game, Red Magic getting close to that as they will get dropped right on down. Jazz coming through for a quick pickup, but unfortunately, Ego's not managing to get the hits in. That's not going to hinder the advances coming through here from the rest of Medellin, as Crusher is now being caught out on the side. Dantes coming through with a lot of heat, looking to find everything they can. No mercy, no remorse rather, closing themselves up in all the walls, trying to put up a barrier, but it is going to be a little too late as the vulnerability has been found. But up comes yet another team looking to crash the party. Exit stage right, as you can see, Costa Nostra just looking to come in with a bit of a surprise angle, but unfortunately Medellin getting out of there just a little bit too quick for them to follow through. Still sat with 6 squads looking to bring all the chaos and carnage that they can find here, but who will be the next team to step it up? Igor looking pretty good up there, high up in the sky, just hanging around, winging it, looking for the next position to move into, as the rest of the team are on foot. But 13 eliminations currently coming in here for Medellin, and I mean, with 41 points already on the board, this could be a great snowball effect here for them to try and double down on those points. But it's going to be Amigos looking to play the upset here, as they do find one of the Medellin players now down to a 3-piece. Things are becoming a little bit more challenging.
It is indeed a bit challenging. Amigos, 1 elimination right over here, just about getting into the safe zone. 6 squads, 23 players. There is going to be a lot of more retail space than normal in the following of endgame. Loads goes down, revive is happening. Lots of damage for the teams right over here, as the coast also takes some damage across the board, but has managed to heal and find himself quite well. And the reason for so much damage is it's fire to fire with the snipes at distance right over there. But right now everything's looking pretty much slow down. AKT trying to get into the safe zone, and they just open them Jugo, and this could be some action. And then we're going to see fire to fire also potentially come third party with this right over here, as there's so much damage across the board. But Jugo taking a comeback right now, and it just does not look too strong for them, as 2 of their players have gone down, and it is going to be a team wipe right over there. We're down to 5 squads. Jugo tried to fight, but could not fight too well in that situation.
Yeah, Akatsuki came in and asking them just how aggressive can you go, right? But unfortunately not aggressive enough. Meanwhile, Medellin are going to be just occupying the edge of zone here. As you can see, Igor and Hate, the final 2 hopefuls, looking to play a bit of a surprise angle. We got fire to fire now, firing across the way over onto Akutsuki. I keep on messing up that name. I'll get it, Akatsuki. There we go. Just took a little bit of a reshuffling of the letters, and eventually we landed on it. Meanwhile, it is going to be Amigos now up on the hill, looking to play a little bit of that high ground domination down onto the rest of the squads. Costa Nostra also held up in the compound here and is looking pretty backed, especially with that water coming into play. You can see so many squads still trying to cram on in. We've got 16 players alive, and there's not enough space for all of them.
Nope, not enough space indeed. But right here, DK, we're going into these final moments that will play a huge role in our final chapter of the Mythic 2025. 13 eliminations for NBL. They've been on that number for the remaining parts of game number 5. So right now, to finish strong in terms of placement, maybe a top 3 finish would be quite great for this team. But sitting with just 2 of their players is going to be quite tough. Kosa find themselves here in the end game. 1 elimination from what the performance they had in the previous one is a very hot A team. But look who's making is 30 rounds yet again. It is Fire to Fire, 9 eliminations, full squad going into the final rounds of Game 5 is exactly what you need right now. And they are dealing damage across the board and as well as picking up some knocks right here. And you can see again, looking at distance, Sayas picks up some massive damage, but no confirmed knocks and eliminations just yet for the team. 9 kills here for AKT, but 1 goes down, and that's Backtech and blue walls placed and potential revives coming in. So that's going to be great for the teams right over there. Zones are going to be shrinking anytime soon. And where do you go? Where do you fight? In the water? Because then you're going to find yourself in uncomfortable positionings.
It is a tough call to make here, but it is going to be quite an important fight here for Fire to Fire. And of course, the players going through from Amigos. Both teams now fighting for that pole position. Costa Nostra are fighting for their entry up into the top 4. Of course, only 6 points away. That's what the gap was coming into this match. Now looking at Medellin, also not too far away either, but they're going to have to try and capitalize and lock in that booyah. We do say goodbye to Amigos, as they will not be able to continue further in this match. Time is up now, down to the final 4. Here we go. It is going to be that big standoff here. Of course, Costa Nostra is going to be riding the edge. We can see Fire to Fire just ahead of them, coming in here with a bit of a gatekeep opportunity. But now, will they be able to find their entry? As you can see, Medellin also going for a bit of a swim. Oh, things are looking pretty tough. The shots flying in from all directions. Fire to Fire now going to be looking to lock on in. They've got 11 eliminations. Can they find more? Akatsuki coming through here with double digits as well, but it is going to be MacTech now, the final one left to defend as the full Fire to Fire squad descends down upon them. Up comes Medellin, one of 2 remaining squads in the zone. It is going to be a 2v4 showdown. Fire to Fire, 15 or maybe even 17 elimination. Booyah coming through here. They want to go for that pole position.
Honestly, they do, and not just by a bit, by a large sum. With a 17 booyah is absolutely what you needed right over there, especially with the 2 bad performing games that I had in 3 and 4. Look at that, picking up massive kills. That's 15 kills in total. Beautiful, beautiful plays. MBL coming in second. You got AKT in third, and then just try coming in 9th. There is quite saddening to see their Tenanen as well, who are on the roll of making a comeback, find themselves getting eliminated at 10, and it's just quite tough a place. I mean, going into now the final game is going to be lots of questions on who's going to finish strong, because I mean, right now as things stand, that is a good way to get into Game 6 for Fire to Fire. 15 eliminations and booyah is going to put you a good amount of points on top of what they already had right now. They were sitting in 4th or 3rd. They easily go to 1st place, because I mean, the teams that were in the top 4 just didn't finish in that top 5, top 6 area, and not a lot of eliminations were secured by them. So we're gonna have to wait and see exactly what that looks like for the final game of Mythic 2025. Guys, myself and DK are gonna be taking a bit of a short break, but we'll be back with the last action that we have to display for you, so don't go anywhere. The sixth, the final. It is the time to determine who will be walking away with that hefty prize pool. And I'm not talking about the entire 30,000 Rand. I'm talking about that first place 15,000 Rand of prize pool right over there. That for me is it's a lot of money to be walking away as a team of 4 split across the board right over there. So Fire to Fire, good lead that they have, 89 to 76. Amigo sitting second with 76 points. Clown Esports in third with 71. Akatsuki Esports in fourth with 64. Tied with Medellin. Ooh, that's going to be quite interesting battle for that top 4 prize pool. Tenanen with 57, not far behind fourth place right over there, so still fighting chance, but also tied with Just Try. And Cosa Nostra with 57. I think we have a game on our hand right over here, DK. From 8th to 5th, from 8 to 6, it might be a fighting chance for 4th even. I don't know what you think. Am I overreaching over here?
If we see the same kind of play that we had in match number 1, right, the 23 elimination game come through from anybody sitting in 4th place up to 8th, right, they could definitely upset the top of the leaderboard and take a share of the prize pool for themselves. But of course, the only way to get that done is by hopping in to our final match. It is that time. The players and teams now going to start making their way on down. We can see a little bit of the tension rather being brought up into Fusion. We've got the Rivermouth receiving some love. We've got Blueville also getting a few drops coming in here. So the teams this time around actually taking a slightly further spread as they make their way in. I say that, and then we look over into Stadium, and it's complete opposite, right? It is going to be Union X finding themselves in a bit of a hot situation here. Of course, they are going toe-to-toe with Valor, and only one squad can walk out of here with all their players still intact.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see what that looks like. Todd just led away an opponent. But could we see a first team like in an all-sport situation, or is someone going to get away to do some buybacks? We're going to have to wait and see what that looks like. But good aim coming out from Famesy right up there, picking up third right now. Kenzo also in a fighting position for his life as he gets revived in that over there. 4 eliminations. It's our first squad-wide off-spawn, if I'm not mistaken, DK.
Yep, right out of the gate, they're like, you know, thank you so much for coming. You can see Thad here having a bit of a celebratory show-off as they do walk away with 4 eliminations now for the squad. Let's see what the rest of the teams are going to be doing. It's not as chaotic elsewhere in the map here as the teams are kind of respecting the space. I say that, and then here we have the players coming through from the side of Just Try, and then we have the other squad right there behind them, Tenanen. So could be in for a little bit of a surprise here. Let's see whether or not Hawk and the rest of the crew from Tenanen are going to be looking to dial it up. I think for now, it's a loot situation, right? They have to get the right weapons before they can get really down to business.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see what type of loadout they have. I mean, for Hawk even, if I'm not mistaken, now he does have his right loadout. But previously it looked like he was, you know, having a weird sniper at hand. But at long range, Hawk does quite some good damage. And we could see that again coming into play for his team. And just as they're fighting here, Snowfall, who will come out on top? Is it Just Try or Tenanen? Both teams are at a fighting contention for top 4. But it all depends on how their games play out today or in game number 6. We're going to have to wait and see. Because it's all about eliminations. And I think, you know, placements are going to be heavy in terms of deciding. But right now, as things stand, eliminations will get you ahead of the pack quite where you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, a good thing at least to remember here is regardless of how this match goes, every team here will be in the top 12. Right, so that's quite a bit of a bragging right to bring on through. And of course, that's a top 12 out of all the participating teams, right? So they've made it all the way to the very end. So let's see who's going to be the one to sit at the top of the board. The Arsenal is going to be unlocked there as well, as we did see that message popping up. But who's going to get their hands on it, though? Meanwhile, it is going to be Tenanen and the players here from Just Try. Still not really getting too involved in any kind of altercation. Both squads kind of just keeping their distance. They want to try and ride it out as best they can, but they're going to have to fight very soon. As you can see, Led already starting to send a few shots over to Hawk, but you got to watch out because once Hawk activates fates that high, it is going to be absolute chaos and carnage. But now it's looking like Tennant are looking to dial it up here as Just Try is quickly just recovering their players, but a beautiful reaction. As you can see, Sneaky doing exactly as their name suggests, just popping off the top. Meanwhile, it's going to be everybody just trying to survive. Hawk going for a little bit of that long game, trying to get off into the distance here, but not quite sure if they'll be able to secure the shots. Meanwhile, it is going to be the Amigos and Fire to Fire that could give us the next showdown.
Yeah, let's see exactly what that is going to be looking like. Because already sitting with 4 eliminations is where you want to be, because that's dampening the lead that, you know, the opponents they're looking at right now. Those are the opponents they need to be eliminating if they want to get that first place position right now. So will this actually happen? Will we see a fight between first and second? We'll have to wait and see. Model King taking a bit of damage. We see ML5 in the distance over there, seeing what they can do. But Cola, Fanta, R7 very close to being eliminated, and lots of damage. Colby's being thrown, grenades into the box areas. You cannot go down in these moments where you need to stay alive. And right now, Mini7 managing to get revived. Coca-Cola goes down, and this is a big fight between Fire to Fire and Fire to Fire, taking easy numbers right over here. Cola goes down yet again, and we've got Sayas, who's in a position of going down. So is Aurori. Will he get taken down as well? It doesn't look like that is the case, as it is going to be a complete team wipe for Amigos.
Yeah, Amigos have to say adios, as they can't make it any further than that. They're going to have to hope that they've been able to do enough to hold on to that second position that they have in the standings. But now this opens up the floodgates for the rest of the team, right? Clown still very close, only 5 points behind Amigos coming into this match. Can they do it? They have 3 points so far. Can they find more? They're going to have to be quite cautious with how they play through this. And of course, the big deciding factor in this is going to be the performance coming through from Vent. Even though Vent might not have an opportunity to run for the top spot, it does still present them with a bit of an opportunity to decide where those points go, right? Are they the aggressor? Are they going to look to double down? It is pretty tough to say because we just saw one of their players getting taken out, but we are still left with 9 squads, so that means Vent is still alive somewhere on this map. In the meantime, Hawk, though, getting spotted out and dropped down on his knees. Now it's up to Eldor and Cass to see, can they maybe patch it back up and get a little bit of revenge for their fallen teammate, as it is then the players here from Fire to Fire moving up onto the roof, looking to get that Overwatch. Iori going right on top, not going to be wasting any time here.
Not at all. And looking in the position that they find themselves, it's straight onto Aldo. Aldo gets knocked. So does RCXC get knocked in that position as well. And this is some great elimination points that they find themselves with. 7 right over there. 9, if I'm not mistaken. RCXC left alone as a solo with Mazika. Man, what could this look like for them? Will they be able to get some buybacks and continue fighting in the position for a top 4 finish? We'll have to wait and see exactly what that looks like. But right now for Clown Esports, Jazz finds himself going up against AKT. AKT is also finding himself in a position of fighting for prize pool. And again, it matters most when you're so close to walking away with some prize money off of the Mythic 2025, which took 4 weeks to get to this grand finale. And now we're in the final moments of game number 6. Good position for Crasher, who manages to pick up 1 elimination right over there. That dampens the numbers of the opposition players, but finds himself getting knocked as well. And as well as confirmed, Jazz taking massive damage, down to 10 HP. He also gets knocked. No Remorse gets knocked. Red Knight left as a solo, and it's just about done and dusted for him, but he manages to blue wall himself and heal using some utilities. But can he get some good distance? It is a 1v2 situation. Gets those buybacks, which is quite fantastic. The team will not be eliminated just yet. No Remorse, however, not bought back. Not enough coin in the bank for that. And we're seeing the teams now get some distance. 8 eliminations is what awards them right over there for that risky play. And they still continue fighting. But that's exactly what this last game is about. It's how much risk you're willing to put for a larger biscuit.
Yeah, and I mean that biscuit could taste quite nice because that was Akatsuki trying to get themselves closer to that third place, trying to contest Clown for that seat. But I mean, in doing so, they actually awarded Clown a few additional points, which could potentially put them ahead of the Amigos. So there's still quite a few fights happening between the teams, looking to see who will be situated in that top four come end of this match. But it's going to be go time here, as we can see. Just right now rushing forward. They are coming in hot. Tenninen trying to survive. They want to try and make it up into that late stage. But of course, they are just tied on the standings, right? So this is a very important engagement for both these teams because whoever survives could get just that extra bit closer to making it into the top four.
Exactly that right over there. DK looking over at Clown Esports, 9 eliminations. Fantastic. Jazz taking a bit of damage, but managing to utilize some heals. Red Magic as well, finding himself getting knocked. And that is Kosa, who comes through with some eliminations as well. And they are sitting on 9 eliminations for themselves. This is about a game where we're putting all our eggs into one single basket to potentially walk away with a top 4 finish. Latency is on a sort of hunt, so he needs to be protected. And it's these two squads that are going at it that find themselves ever so in a battle. But Koso, hands down, managed to secure himself with good defense. Vent Esports on the other side of things, sitting with 4 eliminations, Supreme 2, King Hydra 2. We have 6 squads, 23 players, and we're nowhere near the end, guys. This talks about what Game 6 means for some of these players to confirm their position in top 4 or finish for prize pool finish. Now, looking over at Tenninen, I thought they were going to be done and dusted with Mazika left alone as a solo, but somehow they've managed to come out and get their full squad back into it. R30 and them sitting comfortably with the 9 kill points without any placements. Just looking at those 9 kill points is already widening the spread between first and second. And with second already eliminated from the lobby, they don't have anything to worry about. It's their tournament to walk away with that 15,000 rand prize pool. Unless some miracle happens, I don't see it coming through though.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but as we know, just try. That's all you can do. You can just try and get all those hits in. Now, it's going to be Costa Nostra looking to double down, already 14 eliminations strong. That puts them in quite a bit of a position. That means they've got 67 points, right? Fourth place was worth 64 points, but of course, that was Akatsuki before they came into this match. So we'll see whether or not Costa Nostra can play the upset here. Can they jump all the way from that 8th place up into the top 4? If they continue with the spacing, that could very well be the case here. But now it is going to be Vent just trying to escape that charge coming through. As you can see, King Hydra and the rest of the team already sitting with the 5 eliminations up. Are they going to be able to play the upset here? We do see Clown now losing a player. This is looking a little bit shaky as we've got so many teams in contention. But fortunately, Clown, they do have 9 points already on the board. Can they play for placement? Can they get the points to get them over the line and a larger share of the overall prize pool?
I mean, I think at this point it's very much possible. Second place has been eliminated, so there's no that the effort of 9 eliminations plays a huge role because the other team is not picking up kills. They're not picking up placement points because they're gone and done and dusted. So the only gap that needs to be added into consideration is those 4 kills that Amigos did manage to pick up in the early stages. Just try finding themselves getting naded right now. Could potentially find themselves in an awkward position. However, just try going up against fire to fire. Let's see who comes out on top in this fighting position. Massive damage against R30, managing to heal, use the utility. That's exactly where you need to find yourself with. 6 squads still remain over here. No squad has been taken down. Just try taking massive damage. Ledex finding himself with healing potential. And I saw in the comment, not me saying Ledex over Hawk, but I haven't really seen Ledex sniping moments. It has only been Hawk who has, done the deed for his team at distance. Right now, when you're looking at it, R30 has been eliminated, and Fire to Fire stand as a 3-man and are trying to do as much as they can, and that's exactly paying off as they sit with 11 eliminations. Revive potential on Sayas, and that comes through. They do secure that back to 3-man, and right now it's just fire between these 2 squads who are putting all might, grenades, utilities, you name it. Just Try is left to two players from a full four, and that just shows exactly what Fire to Fire can do in such a short moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Fire to Fire has 11 eliminations. So let's see, can they get more? Can they widen the gap that they've already been able to establish on the overall standings? Just Try is still going to do everything they can here. Looking at Costa Nostra, though, 18 eliminations. Things are looking absolutely phenomenal. I did say, if a team can replicate what we saw happening in match number first, right, the 24 eliminations, this could definitely be their ticket to claiming quite a bit of territory on those overall standings, but it is going to be Supreme now getting jumped on. You can see Costa Nostra at this full, sending it as the hits are in. Clown just hiding on the edge. It is a good position, though, there for Costa Nostra. I mean, they've got zone possession. The rest of the teams have to come to them.
They have to come to them, and that's the beauty of being in a great retail spot. 20 eliminations is exactly what they've pulled through in these final moments. Talk about a comeback story. Right now at distance, they look over at Fire to Fire, ML5, and as well as the Sires left alone as a duo. This is a three-way split for victory, but one solo rap player who's hiding somewhere, two solo rap players who are hiding in the distance right over there, not getting involved in any of the action. What does this mean for CN though? Will they be able to pick up furthermore kills? And as well as the Booyah, I think definitely has King Hydras left alone as a solo on their side of things, and he's now sitting in that zone to potentially just walk away and wither with HP. Trying to place blue walls as much as possible, but he got spray after spray, and those eliminations finally pulled through. 21 kills left here for CN, and they push over to the final two players, Sayas and L5, and just like that, we're about to witness the end of game number 6 with a massive Booyah coming in for this team at 23 eliminations, and it's taken more time than what it was needed. But that is it right over there. CN with a Booyah on 23 eliminations. Absolutely fantastic. The MVP, obviously, Denry, with 10 eliminations at hand. Massive, massive plays right over here, guys. That is the 6 games done and dusted. And talk about a chapter change after chapter change. The story was never written. It only kept writing itself game after game.
Yeah, you got to give it up to Costa Nostra. I mean, a phenomenal, phenomenal finish coming into the match here. Walking away with a glorious Booyah. But amigos, as we can see, they went out in 10th place with only 4 eliminations. So all they have is the 80 points to try and keep them in contention here. I like what Vent did here as well. I mean, they waited up until the last match to pack in all the heat that they can bring through. But you know what? Better late than never. And of course, Fire to Fire going to look to see if they can still hold on. I mean, there could be an opportunity for a major, major upset to come in here. I mean, Akatsuki, as we saw as well, they finished in 6th or 7th place. So that does make it quite stressful to see whether or not the points are going to work out in their favor. But I got to say, though, a lot of impressive gameplay being brought in by all our participating teams here. You like the action, like the surprises, and like the tension that they were creating here as well.
No, it was absolutely beautiful. I mean, from the get-go, we started with Fire to Fire with a 24 bomb and a Booyah, and that was absolutely well written. I thought, you know what, great start. Second game, they sort of replicated that, but at a much slower pace, and it was Clown Esports who managed to pick up a surprise Booyah over there. Then we're moving into the positions of the games that they had. You know, in the end, it's just about who was most consistent. We're going to have to wait and see what that top 4 is going to be looking like on these teams right over here. But massive comeback story for CN. I mean, we looked at them in the beginning. They were nowhere near where they are right now. And when that leaderboard finally kicks in, a lot of the spectators' jaws might just drop. What a beautiful performance coming out from them, though, for game number 6.
Yeah, this is where I wish I had my popcorn ready, because we are going to need it here. It is going to be quite a bit of a show to see exactly what the boards look like. And here we have it, Fire to Fire managing to hold on, hitting the century with their points. Cosa Nostra jumping all the way from that 8th place up into 2nd. Clown still holding on to 3rd place. And Amigos is going to be the squad to have done just enough to hold on to the top 4, but Just Try you got to commend the effort that they brought in, right? They started off with 57 points in the previous match. Then to finish on 71, they came so close.
Just trying to sneak their way in, but unfortunately couldn't. But I mean, like, look at that tiebreaker. 4 points between for them in order to win that second place prize pool for Clown Esports. But unfortunately, I have to put my hands down to Kosa Nostra, because I mean, it was from game 3 or game 4, if I'm not mistaken, where things really started taking a turnaround for this team. And then the massive amount of kills that they had to pull in such short games is absolutely GG's. 88 points to finish that off. But you know what, guys? The top 12 teams out of here all deserve a massive round of applause. It took you 4 weeks of competition to find yourself competing against the best of the best in Africa. And I'm talking about from South Africa all the way through to Egypt, because Tenanan is a team from Egypt. So you got all these players coming into one single map for 6 rounds and competing at the level best that they could. So massive GGs to each of the 12 teams right over there. And guys, I want to say thank you to the viewers. I think at some point we did break 300, if I'm not mistaken. That is an absolute achievement. And that's just on one platform. That's excluding the other platforms we're live on. And if you guys are joining from either TikTok or YouTube, a massive shout out to you guys. And then to the ACGL team, the sponsors behind it as well, of the PC Builder with partners of MSI, AMD, Patriot, Crucial, FSP, Game Pass, and Windows 11. Massive thank you to you guys for making that, guys. And then for the massive show, the man behind the broadcast, he has to be named Reggie. You're the man. Thank you for the great views, Reggie. You gave us chef's kiss viewership on the players right over there. What are you doing? Oh, love. But yeah, DK, that was good, man. Great 6 games that we had right over there.
Yeah, I mean, very excited and always fun to have a nice serving of that FreeFire come in. And I look forward to seeing what these teams are going to be bringing in again, right? I mean, are we going to see more of them? Are we going to see even more competition and even more heat getting brought through if we get into Mythic one more time? I mean, so far it has been absolutely phenomenal. And what a way to close up the grand finals.
No, absolutely beautiful. Guys, we've said our thanks, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show, the 6 games. It was a massive evening here. But you know what? Until the next one, guys, I hope you stay safe and good.